Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'm Sreth Nay, and I'm your host for the day and every episode. And I was hoping to go on tour and interview comics like I did with all the Florida comics, well, most of them, anyways, and put Middle America on the map, so the Central Time Zone and hopefully the Mountain Time Zone in the near future. But right now, I'm having a comic all the way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Omar Finley, welcome to the show, Omar.
Pop, pop, pop. What's up?
How are you? Great. Thanks for being on the show today.
Man, thank you again so very much for having me. Like, I really, really appreciate it. And as somebody who does podcasting and stuff, I know how big of a hassle it is. So I appreciate you just showing me some love and asking me to be on this podcast today.
Oh, absolutely. It means a lot that you are my guest, and I love I put the most of the Florida scene on the map. There's like 600 comics from open micers to headliners.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and then there's people that toured through Florida too. So I interviewed those cats, and some of them are famous and stuff, and I sprinkle those little in there. But the majority of the comics are from Florida. So I'm like, I gotta branch out and go to like the Panhandle and the Middle America and interview comics like that. So it's like
Yeah.
now it's like since the pandemic hit, I can just finally interview y'all and without leaving my home. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, right before the pandemic, I was like, all right, I need to start going out to Florida because I've heard some really good stuff about it. I think a mutual friend of ours, Robert Allen Hall, love love of
I
my
love
life
him.
almost, man. I love that guy a lot. But he came to us to BR from, I think he came from Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. And so like he sung praises, and I met a lot of cool comics out from either Jacksonville area or Orlando, and I was like, man, I really just got to get out there. And then it's like as soon as I kind of got like my touring feet up under me, just no more touring. So next year. Well, this year. Now it's 21-21. So hopefully at the end of the year we can get it popping.
Absolutely. And if you need any help setting up shows along the way, I know everyone since I interviewed everyone from Miami to Tallahassee and the Panhandle. I'll do my very best to help you line up some shows so it's like a proper tour.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, but I can't promise you they'll pay anything because the pay is horrible. But it is what it is.
I'm gonna be able to do it.
Indeed, I tell you
uh,
what, I went and I did a tour of like 14 dates or 14 performances and 10 dates,
mhm.
and I took with me like $400 with me. My dad threw in like 100. I had saved up 300, and by the end of the tour, I got came home with $40. It was just, and it happens. It's like, oh well.
Oh, dude, I was done dirty. I was done dirty in Austin. Like I think it was like the first time I ever went. So it was weird because like I know a lot of people from Texas come through Baton Rouge to get to New Orleans. So like I knew some people, whatever, and so I did a few shows, and like I just like I'm not like a Texan, but I'm not like a Louisiana. I'm like half and half. Like I have like really close ties to Texas. Like my dad's side of the family lives out there, so I just had a ton of friends and family in Austin. And so like I packed out like 3 shows in a row, and I literally the guy didn't pay me, and I was and me and my buddy was on the road like coming back to BR, and I texted the guy. I was like, hey man, we're out of town comics, what when are we gonna get paid? We're already back on the road. So he said, oh okay, and then he sent me like $10, and I was like, dude, I counted 50 heads. What are you talking about? It is so it only happened once. Like the next time I went out there, like everyone like treated me very very well. But like when you're on tour and then like you save up money to pay for all your expenses, but like if you produce shows and then you go out and then you see how many people coming in, and you're starting to do the math. You're like, all right, math is all right. I should get about 70 for this show. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then someone tries to sun you. It's not good.
Indeed. Same thing happened to me twice in Georgia, and I'm like, ah, jeez. Oh well.
Sorry, sorry.
It's all good. Siri's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Google. Hey, Google. Hey, Google will really be trying to talk to you sometimes. So
Indeed. Most definitely. But man, I was reading through your bio and visited your website and your link tree and all that good stuff, and so I pulled all the information from that. And so you're a stand-up comedian and host and a model from Louisiana, and you've been performing and hosting and producing shows for comedy shows for 4 years.
mhm.
What got you into hosting and being a comedian and being a model?
Being a model is stupid. people just started asking me out of the blue a couple of years ago, right when I started stand up. Hey, you want to model for this? Hey, you want to model for that? And like my degrees is in the arts, so I have a master's degree in digital media arts engineering. So I'm just really connected with those people, and so it just kept happening. I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, it's like not something I planned, and then stand up. One of my good friends who actually lives in Austin now. We used to work at this climbing facility together. We worked for our local park system, and there's a one park that has rock climbing, and that's where I used to work in undergrad and a little bit in grad school. Work out there, made good friends. It's a sport I love the most. And so he was like, "Hey, you want to come see a show one day?" My friend's performing, headlining, and I was like, "What? You got friends who are comics?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to do stand up like 3 years ago." And I was like, "Huh? Yeah, I would love to go. I like stand up." And before that, Kevin Hart would come in town, or someone I really respected in stand up comedy, I would go and watch. But I never went into local stuff. I never did amateur really, and so I went, and the show was amazing. The guy was who was headlining was absolutely insane, just absolutely great. And afterwards, my friend, whose name is Nam, he was like, "Hey, how'd you like it?" And I was like, "I really loved it." And I confided in him. I was like, "Look, no, shows, stand up comedy is like, if I could choose any way to be like famous, that would be it. I would love to be a comedic stand up comic / comedic actor. I think that's exactly what I would like in a fantasy world." And he was like, "Oh, okay. How about next week I sign you up? Actually, I'm signing you up next week for the open mic." And I thought he was just joking. And I was like, "All right, whatever." And so a couple of days go by. I'm not even thinking about it. He texts me. He's like, "Hey, Wednesday, you're going up." I'm like, "All right, whatever." Sunday comes around. Monday comes around. He texts me again. He's like, "Hey, I'm serious. I'm picking you up at this time. Be ready on Wednesday. You better have 5 minutes." So I start thinking, all right, cool. Come up with 5 minutes. Go up on at Delete Comedy at the station. It's like the oldest open mic in Baton Rouge. And like what they used to do, Robert Rao was the host back then, and he's a great guy. I consider him a mentor, especially when it comes to hosting. He always made first timers go up first. That's how he opened the show, and it was like, so I'm like thinking I'm about to go like 13th or something. He's like, "Hey, you're going first." I was like, "All right," did it. I felt great. Like had a great time on stage, and then I get off. Comics are like looking at me and they're like, "Hey, please come back." And then I'm like, and if a comic asks you to come back, and they're like, you're doing you did really really good, and they were like, is this your first time? I was like, "Yeah, it's my first time. I wrote this stuff like earlier today," and they were like, please come back. And like I had the itch, so I just started coming back, and like I think from that Wednesday, I didn't miss a single open mic for like 6 months. Like I just was there every single Wednesday, and me and my friend started doing stand up again, and then I think 9 months after that, we started our own show, and that's called No Show Comedy, and that's just Nam and Omar show comedy. So then that's our origin story.
Indeed, and I made sure to put the no-show comedy on the bottom of this video. That's on the description box below, so you can click their website and all that good stuff. And
Appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. Like, there's more additional info that I couldn't fit on the ticker, so it's like so there's like all your Apple, all that stuff that I found on your link tree. I just put it on there. So
Oh yeah, it's kind of wild. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie. I got a lot of links.
yep. There's so many branches going on, so it's great.
Yeah. I'm so mad. Like, for some reason, like Apple, iTunes, and all the like the streaming services, they have my name like O apostrophe capital MAR, and like I can't get them to change it at all because it's like some weird thing the way they do metadata or something, and like whoever the albums that I'm featured on, they would have to go back and redo it and like republish them, and it's so stupid. So like all my official streaming platform stuff has my name in like the most annoying way possible, and people who've come up to me, they're like, "Why do you misspell your name?" And they're like, "It's supposed to be capitalized." I was like, "I have my birth certificate. That thing is lowercase." And they think the apostrophe is something I'm trying to do and be cool, but it's not. Like my mom really fought for that one.
Indeed, most definitely. And it's pretty dope you're a model. I'm a fashion designer myself, and I didn't plan on being a fashion designer. It just happened. Like I have my own festival in my hometown in Pueblo, Colorado, right?
Hmm.
And I go I have an artist friend that you master in art, and he's like a badass artist, and I go, I want a clash between Hellraiser, the movie, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And he mashed those two together. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, the design just came out perfect. And, like, it's telling a story each time a shirt comes out for each year. And so now they appear, like, in Chicago and LA and Thailand and Georgia and everything. And there's a bunch in Florida and stuff. And so it's pretty dope to see, like, as a fashion designer, like, my clothes are out all in those different cities and countries. It's pretty dope.
That's so dope, man. That's so amazing. You got to send me a link so I
Yeah,
can like cop one. You know, when I get the money, that stimmy come in, I'm gonna have to cop a shirt for sure.
indeed.
It's
Most
such a
definitely.
hard grind, man. Like I've tried, and it's very very hard. So I respect that a lot.
Indeed. They only come out like every once or twice a year. Well, twice now that I'm starting the fest in Daytona Beach, so it'll have the same design. So it's only like limited edition, and so everyone gets excited and all that stuff. And I ask the performers, "Do you guys want the shirts, the food, the money, the drinks?" And they all go, "We want the shirts." So I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty awesome." So it means a lot that my mind made people say, "We want the shirts." So it's pretty neat.
You did something very smart too, which is you have someone else design your stuff. Like for me as an art like a creative, I can do like no show branding is so easy and fun for me. It's like it's cool. My personal branding, I hate it to God. I get so get so nitpicky and like indecisive. So like people have asked me for years. They're like, when are you gonna drop your own merch? Because we love the stuff you do for no show. And I was like, yeah. like I've had logos that I've scrapped after 3 months. Like I've gotten to the point now. Like I'm not young. I'm not like old. I should say. So I'm not like I'm. I still got a year and in a month before I hit 30. So I'm just like now I just like delegate that stuff to someone else, and I just like, hey, whatever you think I look good in, you do it, and that's been working out a lot better than me just slaving away at my own designs.
Indeed. When you told me that, it reminded me of like the Five Heartbeats when the guy was writing his lyrics and throwing them away, and like his niece or his daughter or whatever. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I watched the movie, but she would like pull them out of like unfold them and uncrinkle them and stuff, and then it turns into a whole song. So maybe like of all the things that you throw away, you can just bring them back and say, hey, which ones should I combine and make a cool design out of it, out of my merch? That'd be pretty
That's
dope.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good.
indeed. So after being thrown into stand up, you fell in love with the art, and so you never stopped doing it since you mentioned that you did every single Wednesday from that time that you did open mics.
Mhm.
What made you keep grinding and chasing that so-called dragon everyone says?
At first, it was just fun. It's just and not to say it's not fun now, but at first it was just super super fun. I really enjoyed the everyone who did stand up. I think the community of stand up comics is very very hard to get in, but once you get in, like they're great. They're just great human beings. And for me, as someone who yeah, I'm in school. Like I got my own. I have my own dreams and all that. Like at first, it was just like a creative release that I had forgotten that I needed, because when I was in like middle school, high school, I was in performing arts. My mom would always put me in like excuse me drama programs and theater and all that. But I would never. It's like one of those things. Like I said earlier, like I'd always viewed it as something like that was very fun and I was very good at it. But it wasn't like a like I'm not dumb. Like I didn't think I could make money that way. So like I would just do them for fun. I would just do the summer programs. I would never take theater in like high school because I didn't like the theater program and I didn't like the stigma with those kids. But any like outside of high school stuff, I would do all the time and like audition and stuff. So when I started doing stand up, I realized that I had been missing the performance art in my life for the last like 4 years. So I was like, this is something I can't live without. And so at first I was just doing that, getting that release. And then I started growing more as like a creative and as an artist. And I realized that I could like start molding stand up to kind of fit all the other things I wanted to pursue and really do. Once I hit the point of where I was like producing shows and stuff, and at that point, it wasn't just fun for me. I had something to prove, and it was like because I wanted to headline. Then once I started realize I wanted to headline and just not be an open micer and a hobbyist, that's when I like started taking it like extremely seriously. And like my family was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing stand up," and like they're like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really want to do this." And I started getting grinding it out, getting better and better, and wanted to be a headliner. And once I got to be a headliner and headlining the station, I was like, well, I'm producing my own shows. I'm starting to see all these, there used to be traveling comics come in. I was like, I'm funnier than those people. What's after this? I'm producing, I'm doing really well. I'm getting more and more successful. And now the goal has been just every time I reach one is like, all right, I want to get to the next thing. Oh, it used to be, oh, I want to do stand up out of town. Well, I started doing that. I'm like, shit. So it's like just that dragon keeps growing, and it's like, damn, like I don't, I think I have what it takes, like, and I've met some like pretty nice comics, pretty well known comics, and they've seen me and they've told me like, hey, dude, like you need to move out of Louisiana, because I love Louisiana with all my heart, but it's like the infrastructure for stand up isn't here, so um, as far as like getting seen, getting noticed, and really getting to the places that to meet and shake the hands and that make those kind of rules, uh, it's not here.
Indeed, most definitely, and I love those fine folks like people that have traveled through Louisiana always tell me bring back great stories and stuff. And I've had some comics from like Jacksonville and Daytona tour there, and they would tell me how awesome New Orleans and Baton Rouge are. And it's like, man, one day I hope to like perform in those cities and all that good stuff, just to like see all that great stuff that they always talk about. So
Please come by. Please come through. Like Lafayette, you have to stop in Lafayette. Lafayette is so much fun. JP Leonard runs like Lafayette comedy, and there's some great shows and venues. There's like I think you had Ken. I think Ken shouted me out, and he was talking about Bisbanos. I can't speak more highly of Bisbanos. That's and like I run a show. Like I feel like my show's the best. But I'm not gonna lie, Bisbanos is the shit. Like it's like you're in Louisiana and all of a sudden you're doing stand up in a basement that feels like New York. It's cool. It's
wow,
cool.
that is pretty awesome. And they isn't that the one that's like the only basement in Louisiana or something like that? 'Cause like how like the whole golf is built down there.
Yeah, he said that. I don't believe it. I've been in many people's basements, but yeah, it's very rare to have a basement in Louisiana. But yeah, it's very strange. Like you don't see it often. So for sure.
Indeed, most definitely. I'll definitely have to check it out. And JP is pretty awesome. I love when I interviewed him. It was pretty awesome. It was like just to hear what was inside Louisiana and Lafayette and all that good stuff. So it's good stuff.
Dude, he's I can't speak more highly of those guys, especially JP when it comes to the producing side, which is something that like I've been heavy in now. It's just like the way he moves and the deals that he's been able to produce and get people of very high caliber to come into Louisiana and stay and do big shows in Lafayette. It's crazy, and like unfortunately, I feel like the populace here doesn't really understand how hard it is to do that, and so like they just kind of take it for granted. And like if I could make a statue with a plaque of J.P. Leonard and just be like, "All hear ye, give this man his praises," like that's what I would do. He's
Uh,
amazing.
Indeed. And if since you want to branch out to like outside of Louisiana, and which city would you want to go to pursue more stand up?
It's very hard decision. Um, is this a fantasy world or is this real life? Do I have all
Um,
the money, or am I just the same person who was waiting for the $600 stimmy? That
we'll go for both. How about that?
all right. If I had all the money in the goddamn world, I would go to uh, I'd probably have to go to New York, and I'd just be bi-coastal. I'd do New York until it gets cold, and then go to LA, back and forth, back and forth. I've done stand up both places, met people in both places, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very very fun. And like, I was I didn't go to New York until I was 20. Shit, how old am I? I didn't go to New York until last year. Last year was my no, the year before last technically. Okay, yeah, damn, 2020 sucks. So I was 27 the first time I ever went to New York, and I for a long, long time, before that, people had told me, "You're gonna love New York. You like big cities. You have this vibe about you that likes New York." My best friend lived there at the time. He's like, "Dude, you're gonna love it." And I was like, "I ain't gonna like this place. I'm not gonna fall sucker to the Big Apple." I went I went the first time in June 2019. I went back immediately in July and then again in October. So in 6 months, I went 3 times. I loved it. I couldn't stay away. I would have gone probably another 3 to 4 times last year if the cough wasn't happening and they didn't shut everything down. L.A. Um, I love L.A. My dad was actually born in L.A. So I'm a huge Rams fan, huge Lakers fan, been since birth. And LA is just everything ever I want as a human being. It has good weather. It has rock climbing very close. It has the sea. I'm a swimming guy. As you can see behind me, I got my bike. Like I'm an outdoorsy guy, so like LA is like everything I want to do, and then stand up's great. And obviously, if you want to be in the movies and stuff, you got to be out there. But without that, all that money, I'm gonna have to go to Austin.
Excellent choice. Austin's pretty dope because it has like the movie scene and stuff like that, and it's like, and I've always wanted to go, and I have friends that live there and put on festivals there and stuff, and it's just like, man, if I could move somewhere and be weird, I would live there. Weird in a good way, not to be like all creepy weird, but like weird in a good
Yeah,
way.
dude,
Yeah.
man, keep Austin weird is a thing, and like for someone who like visited Austin frequently before like the big boom, Austin's always been like a great great city. But like now, like it's so crazy. It feels like LA now.
Oh,
It's very strange to like see its evolution, but like I love both cities. So yeah, Austin's good. Austin's like dope. And like I mean even Joe Rogan just moved there.
yep. Indeed, everyone seems like to be moving inwards now since, and I don't blame them. Like Middle America's dope. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Dude, there's so much dope stuff that happens that no one knows about because it doesn't have the right lens. And I think that's very true about Louisiana comedy. Um, and now I think Texas comedy had a little bit of a clout. Like there's a lot of comics that go in Texas and live in Texas and there are clubs there. But now I feel like in the next 5 years, if you're there and you're good, the right person is going to see you. And I just hope that happens in Louisiana.
Most definitely. Indeed. And so your sense of humor has been described as much introspective as absurd. And speaking of being weird and absurd and all that stuff, and so
Yeah.
you blur the lines between culture, family, and race. And how did you discover your voice in that direction?
Well, I talked about my mama too many times. No, I don't know, man. I'm a huge I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan. That's probably my biggest comic, and just like his style of comedy, like being aware and politically aware, and trying to like instruct people on like and or not. I don't want to say instruct, educate people. I guess is the better word on like some of the stuff that's going on in our country. And then the way he does it, he always it'll get real deep, real serious, real quick. But then like he just pulls something out of his ass that's like so dumb and so stupid. Like that's the comedy I love the most. Like the Boondocks, the satirical, like but still has a message. Like that's always been what like I gravitated to as just as a um, having a brain blank right now. Someone who consumes media. So when I started doing stand up, that's all the stuff I wanted to talk about. Being black in southern Louisiana and like, dude, like I was like going on dates with a girl whose dad was in the KKK at one point in middle school, and she waited for like 2 dates in, and then she told me I was like, wait, what the heck? I'm like there is like so much stuff like I can't. like there's so much stuff that's happened in my life, and I just can't like ignore it. But it's fun, and I have a great diverse group of friends. Uh, so like we just get in situations. So it's just like all I talk about that. I love my family to death. I think they're the funniest people that I know, and it's actually like they if you ask my family, I'm not even the funniest. Like they're just like, yeah, he's good, he alright. Like that's how it is. So just talking about that kind of stuff in my family and just being comfortable on stage and is all I wanted to do. Just have that presence, just like the people I like Dave and Eddie and Richard and Red Fox and whew, yeah. So that's why.
Indeed. You're my style of comic because I love comics that let you in into their lives and talk about everything that's in their life rather than being topical about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're my style of comedy, and so is Dave and Eddie and stuff. And so it's like when I tell people about my story because they've never met a Cambodian before, I'm like super rare. I'm like a rare Pokemon, and
Yeah.
they're like, man, when you go up there, it's either one friend in Jacksonville described me as the poet laureate of Pornhub, and my friend in Jacksonville calls me the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach. Because like I say all these really dirty things from like my personal, like my real stories from life, but I embellish it a little bit. But I don't say any curse words, and they're like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. It just my brain just works that way."
Wait, you're completely clean?
No, I just don't say any curse words. Like I don't say all those bad words, but I just say really dirty things on stage. Like
Oh,
I get
okay.
into full detail, and they're like, "Holy crap, we're in for a wild ride!" And they're like, they can't wait to see what audience reactions are because they
Mm-hmm.
already know what I'm gonna say, and they just get really excited just to look at other people's like reactions that have never seen my comedy. So that's great.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's like the crowd doesn't understand. Like when you're like, I can tell just like being through this interview. You're nice. You got good energy. So like you imagine you talking about like some nasty stuff on Pornhub, but being like really polite about it. That would be cracking me up the entire time. And like
Indeed.
I'm not clean. I am. I don't wouldn't say I'm dirty, and I have like 45 minutes of clean material. It just depends. It depends on like what I'm trying to get into.
Indeed, most definitely. That's pretty rad. I'll have to show you. I'll send you the link to my performance in Atlanta at the Relapse Theater,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll hear the moans and the groans, and you're like hear people cuss in the crowd because they can't believe what they're hearing. That's the only reaction they have left, and it's great.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Now,
Indeed.
normally, if in my thing, you'll hear someone go, "Uh-uh." I love. I think those are the best reactions when you like say something that just hits them. So they're like, "Nuh-uh, that ain't." And you're like, "Yeah, that happened. this we're on this journey together. Let's go." Like that's my favorite for sure.
Absolutely, most definitely. So Omar, you've got to open up for some celebrities like Kevin Farley and CEOs Brandon Landry and Todd Graves. And what were those shows like opening for them?
Very, 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 very interesting. I just actually I need to update it. I just opened for Sean Patton and like
Ooh.
2 months ago. But I'll talk about the CEO thing was weird. Because it wasn't a pure comedy show. There's a guy, a great friend, great mentor to me. His name's Kenny Wynn. He's like one of the he started an advertising agency or creative agency called 368, but they do so much stuff, and they just got a couple awards. They're like top 100 companies to work for in Louisiana, not Louisiana, in the world, in Forbes list, da 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 da, whatever. So they did this like they always did this speaking series called Assembly Required, or sometimes Some Assembly Required, and they would bring on big names like that. So he was like, "Man, I really want to switch it up this time. We got, the founder of Canes and the founder of Walk-Ons going to talk, and they're like basically like a red table talk, like they were side by like with a table between them, dude, and they're doing this." But he was like, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna be really fun. We want to be funny." And he's like, "So I kind of want to open this speaker series up like a with fun like comedy." And he was like, "Would you want to host it and do like 10 to 15 to start off this speaking series?" And I was like, I don't have 5% of the money that those guys have. Like I don't know what I can contribute, you know, but I thought it was a good challenge, and so I did. I did some, and I had to be like relatively clean. He said I could, you know, I can drop a. It was like PG-13. Like I had one F bomb I could drop, you know. So I did it, and I talked about like a lot of my experience is like for a while was like I was just like jobs were just not happening for me, especially when I got my master's. I was like, I got a master's, I'm about to make money, and it was like 3 years of like, mm-mm. So I just like the juxtaposition of me like being like highly educated and still sucking and not making a lot of money and doing a stand up about that, and then these two guys who were like had no education like just started some shit and they're like billionaires. It was so fun. The Kevin Farley show was different because it was just like I had something to prove, and it was just like I wanted people to be like, oh, we came for Kevin Farley, but the guy who was before him was like a monster, you know, in a good way. So I came. That was November. Years are weird. I want to say November 2019, maybe 2018. It was one of those years. Um, it was just me, another comic, and Kevin Farley. And JP opened up the show, right? He's the host. And I think I did 10 to 12. I had 10 to 12. And I remember before the show, they were like, hey, you can't talk about this. And you can't be dirty, like at all. You can't be, you got to be clean. And I was like, why? And it was like, just Kevin Farley's rules or whatever, you know? And I was like, okay, all right, let's do this. So I do my clean set, and it's about, um, oh crap, no, this is 2019. Yeah, it's about my trip to New York. And I just talk about the first time did doing stand up in New York, and that's just one of my favorite sets I do now. It's like 10 minutes long, 12 minutes if I have a lot of time. And I just murdered. Like everyone was like, I had a great time. And like, I get off the stage and like, I just sit down and watch the next comic. And Kevin comes out, sits next to me and just talks to me for 5 minutes about the set. And he was like, good job. I was like, yes, like the headliner, like when the headliner comes back and is like, hey, good job, man. Like I really fuck with that. Um, that makes you feel great. So then I was really excited to see him go up and see what he had, and then everything that on that list that I couldn't do, he did, and I was like, you talking about your dingaling and poop and all this other stuff? I could have talked about that. Like, I was so mad because I thought like he was like I thought he was like I was so naive. I was like a clean comic and he wanted his audience to feel safe. And then he started talking all this wild, dirty stuff. I was like,
Oh
I
man.
had better jokes. So yeah. And then yeah, opening for those guys is fun. But like anytime now I open for anyone who has like real like stand up clout, like I really want them not to remember that you were the headliner, which is like bad, I've been told, but when you're doing stand up in Louisiana, you gotta show, you gotta prove that like there's not like a. I feel like Louisiana people always feel like people from out of state are better than the people who are here, so like I always have to like prove that no, like we're good, like we're not just good, we're like great, and like support local, you know. It's like one of
Absolutely.
those. It's a weird juxtaposition because like if I was headlining, I would feel some type of way if someone was like coming out for me, but also like the competitiveness in me as a stand up. I don't know if you have it like or understand it, but it's like I want you to try to mess me over. Like I like that. That makes me be better. So it's like I'm really trying to like fuck people over. Like, I don't care if Dave Chappelle asked me to open for him. I'm trying to make him be less than Dave Chappelle that night. I'm trying to be the best, and like I want to be the best. So
And that's the mentality you should have, because like in Florida, like I'm part of my Daytona Beach is my
mm-hmm.
home club, and I'm like, you know what? pound for pound, I think you could put like the best five in Daytona versus everybody in each scene, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll come out on top. Like, because I've seen everybody perform stand up because I take photos of everybody and all that stuff. But if you put like us five, like the best five in Daytona against the best five in other cities in Florida, we take them down, and like we believe that, and because we're
That's
just
how
like
Baton Rouge is.
yeah, we're a different breed, you know. So Baton Rouge and Daytona Beach are probably like sister cities when it comes to comedy. So it's pretty bad ass. So
Do you?
badass like boozy. So
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel? And I think this is a conversation that we've had in our scene. Do you feel because the scene is it's not conducive for stand up. It's not made for stand up. So it's people are there's other things to do. Like Jacksonville, y'all got football, y'all got distractions here. Baton Rouge, same thing. We have LSU. You have New Orleans right there. So people we're 45 minutes away from New Orleans. Maybe an hour if you're driving slow. You got the Saints, you got the Pelicans, you got all this culture, all this food, all these distractions. So people like feel a certain type of way when they go into a bar or whatever, and they're stand up there. So like do you feel like that is the reason why Jacksonville comics and yourself are like striving like that hard to be that best and have that mentality because you have to fight to make your place in your community?
Absolutely. Like we fight for like we make sure we take advantage of all the 5 minutes that they give us or whatever it is. Of course, the pay is not good at all, but we still, no matter what, whether there are like four people in the audience or if it's completely packed out, we're gonna give everyone our best shot, and it works. It's like it's fantastic, and the cool thing about like Daytona is like everyone from Jacksonville, Orlando, Melbourne, like all the surrounding cities. Sometimes people come from Tampa, which is like 3 hours away or 2.5 hours away, just to come to Daytona because we are weird and we accept everybody and we're just like we don't have that big city drama that
Mm-hmm.
most people have. It's
Oh,
like you either are weird and be part of the family, or you can just be like you're too good for us and we will kick you out, kind of thing. And
yeah.
like and the rule for like us is like if you get offended by any of our jokes, there's a bridge right over there you can jump off of. And they say that
God
at the
damn.
beginning of every show. They take no prisoners there. It's great.
Oh my God. No, no, we don't do that. We don't tell people to kill themselves. That's not good.
It's not good, but they're messing around. But it's like I'm glad I'm not the host because I'm too nice to be a host. But the hosts that do that, they're pretty brutal with that stuff. It's like
We've had people try to fight after a show. That's very fun. That's very fun to see. Someone be like, "Hey, dude, if you're talking during my set, right, and you've already heard the news, if I address you one time and we do a little blah blah, and that's cool. But if you keep trying to talk to me, I have the microphone in my hand. I will embarrass you, especially if you got a date. Because one, I'm probably more attractive than you. Two, you're bringing a date to an open mic. That's a stupid ass decision. Don't ever do that. If you want to bring a date to do stand up comedy, bring it to a real fucking show that you have to pay to get in. Don't bring it to an open mic and then talk like you big shit. You're not big shit. You're at an open mic on a Wednesday. Like, don't do that. I will, I make it a point to fuck you over. I want them to remember. I want whoever you're with to be like, this dude's stupid, and then walk out. So
indeed, that's good stuff.
I got a little
Most
hate in my heart.
I got so angry one time with a heckler, and then I felt bad afterwards for like saying these things to him. Like, oh man, I'm a big old teddy bear. I'll just have the host be mean to him, and so for me, so it's like, and they usually are being mean to him for me, so it's fantastic.
Oh no, man, you gotta let that hate in, man. Just like become Anakin, bro. Just like turn to the dark side, just a little bit, Just kill the kids and on Tatooine and then come right back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, I love it. I love it. I don't want a heckler, but I give everyone the same thing. I address you once, and you could chill out. We're good. I'm not gonna talk to you again. You keep talking during my set. I'll stop that shit. I don't care. We'll be
If
good.
you're a lady, be like Casey Anthony. If you're a guy, be like Anakin. Boom.
uh, what's the wildest stuff that's happened to at an open mic for you?
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up because this happens all the time. Well, this happened like a year ago, but this lady was like from like Europe, and she has a thick accent,
Mm-hmm.
and she comes in here to our Wednesday open mic. Like she would always frequent it with her boyfriend, and she offered my friends drugs except for me, and I felt bad. I felt left out.
We did the
I
same
was like,
thing. This is
yeah.
weird. Keep going. Keep going.
And it felt like you know how you have like a mutual friend and they show a meme on their phone to everybody except for you, and you're like, and you feel left out. That's the exact feeling that I had that day that she offered everyone drugs except for me. But it turned out that she was a serial killer and she killed her boyfriend and like hacked him up into pieces and buried him in the garden. And we found out because they opened up the newspaper on the front page, and boom, there she was. And that's like the most craziest thing we've ever had. They're like Florida breeds serial killers for some reason. I don't know, like Casey Anthony, Eileen Wuornos, and then this lady, and she sounded like she was on.
She was casing y'all. She was trying to get another victim.
Yeah, and I'm glad like we weren't like playing Dexter with her or anything. So it's great.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You're
How about?
lying. Oh my.
I'm not
Oh
lying.
shit.
How about you? What's your crazy story?
I don't want to go no more. That's way. You realize that you, at the end of the day, if she got some of the comics, you would have been safe.
Yep, I would have been safe. I don't trust nobody with any like drinks or nothing like that. I get my own stuff. I'm like, nope, cover my stuff, all that stuff.
You made me just reevaluate everything I've ever done at open mic, especially hanging out with fans at the. Oh, she killed him.
Yep, she killed him. I'm like, it was like I can't remember her name or nothing like that, but I'm like, I'm glad I never got close to her or anything like that. It's just
I
like
thought the
that's
story was gonna go a completely different direction. I thought she was like a European lady with a boyfriend that they do weird shit and they open their relationship up, and so they always go to comics to recruit us because we're wild individuals, and it was gonna be like some kind of like weird three-way situation. That basically happened in our community. Like there, I love her to death. I'm not gonna say her name, but she was out here with a boyfriend, but also trying to get Dangalang. And comics would just laugh about it all the time because we're like, nah, we're not great human beings, but we're not gonna do that. I thought that's where the story was gonna go.
yeah.
You just pulled a completely 360. She killed him.
Yep, she went
Was it like was it
hostile
like
on.
very very quickly after, or was there like a period of time where like y'all didn't see her for a minute and then it just popped up? Like,
Yep, that's exactly how it showed up. Like we didn't see her for a couple times, and then like which was odd because like she would support us all the time, and then all of a sudden we opened the newspaper, and then she did that to her boyfriend. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah.
I am going to text no less than 3 comics after this, and I'm gonna relay this story because that beats my stories. That beats all the crazy stories I've seen. Fights. Um, I was gonna talk about this guy who got. He was supposed to be the headliner, and like he had been working on it for so long, like begging and pleading to be a headliner. He finally gets a spot. His whole family comes up. He's posted on social media for like weeks. And then the show comes up. He gets there like 10 minutes late, whatever. He walks in and it's like 20 deep. And then like halfway through the show, 6 just not plainclothes officers, but officers with like the cargo pants and the boots and then the tight ass t-shirts. Like, I'ma fuck you up, guys. They walk in. And they're like, they start looking around, and like I just see this guy just like slink into the shadows. He's just like this, like this, and obviously he's black. And the host at the time, Robert Rouse, the normal host, but that day he got a guest host. So they look, they see a black person with a microphone, and they just storm the stage. And they question the host, and the host, who's a good friend of mine, Will Merrill. Shout out to him. If you guys look him up, That's Work is his album. Give him a little bit of plug. Will Merrill's like, what's going on, officer? This is my ID. I'm not who you think I am. Like, how? Like, there's only 2 entrances. There's like the only one entrance and then a patio exit. And like, they literally, this guy just disappears. And then like later that night, he's like on fucking social media, like taunting the cops and going like oink oink oink, like all this stuff. This is the funniest thing in the whole wide world. It's the best thing I've ever seen on stage. We ended up doing, everyone got 2 sets because for like an hour, everyone can only talk about how crazy it was that they came in there, and like his mom was there, and his mom was like, have you seen my baby? Oh, did you? And I was like, I don't want to tell you that your son just ran away from the authorities, but he did. So like we couldn't do our regular show. So we just talked about that for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then we restarted the show and did our real sets. But no, everyone went home alive. Your
Wow.
story, someone died.
Yeah.
That beats it. It
Indeed.
beats it.
Most
It beats it.
we most definitely. So we have like some audience members in the crowd watching too right now. So if you want to jump in the live chat, you're more than welcome to. But be nice to us. So you're pretty
What?
popular, Omar. Yeah, it's pretty
What?
dope.
No, there ain't nobody in here. Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So
I
you
can't.
also taught us stand-up courses and workshops, and I admire that. And what made you teach stand-up courses and workshops?
So, the reason I started that is one, someone just kept asking me. They were like, "Do you teach?" And I was like, "You think I'm good enough to teach? Look at you." But there's a very, very, very great improv scene here in Louisiana, and especially in Baton Rouge. And some close friends of ours, they are the founders and operators of Latco Comedy, Leather Apron Improv, TC Mathern, Betty Mahika Milano, um, Michael Moss, Sarah Dye, a lot of great people in there. And so some of the no show, we have like really close ties with them. Like we would participate in some of their like celebrity game nights and stuff. And so we just really really close, good friends, and I love them to death. And what ended up happening is right before Corona, they actually started. They opened up a theater, like an improv theater. Um, and so we were kind of helping out, and so they've been, improv, they teach classes. That's like how improv people make money, and that business thrives. And but a lot of people have been asking for stand up, and they reached out to me. I started doing that, and then yeah, so I did it in my class. Ended up being like, instead of like, I think it was supposed to be like a 8-week class, because of Rona. It was like 9 months. Like I just did Zooms, and I had guest comics from like L.A. and New York, and um, like do some lectures and stuff. And um, yeah, I'm very very proud to say that I taught some really funny ended people. Like they're hilarious, and they were hilarious before they even stepped foot in my class. And hopefully we'll get to do that again. It was just kind of weird, like being 6 months virtual, but hopefully vaccine starts rolling out, and then we'll get that. But yeah, people asked me about that, and then some. One of my class members was someone who helped do like speech lessons and stuff. And my other friend, who I told you had the speaking series, he had been trying to get me to do some like workshops and like speaking exercises, just because people pay a lot of money to hear how to punch up their boring ass work, meeting stuff. And it's he makes a lot. He makes money doing that. And so I've done a couple of those too, where it's just like, this is how you engage. You read a room. These are some of the basics of the basics, and helping corporate people do that, and it's been fun too.
Indeed. And you mentioned like improv and stand up joining forces, and like my pal Christina out of Jacksonville would put together these shows called Hot Topic. And what was similar to setlist stand up without a net, where you had to like draw out two topics and just make a like a whole set of stand up, like a 5 minute or 6 minute set of stand up
Mm-hmm.
on it. And I did one of her shows, and I pulled out cruise ships and bag of raccoons, and those were my two topics. And I was like, oh man, so I had to do like a 6 minute set on just those two, and incorporate into a set. And I'm like, oh man, this turned out better than I thought. So it's pretty awesome.
It's fun. Everyone should, every stand up should try to do improv, and every improv person should try to do stand up. I think it just makes you a little bit stronger. Um, I think it's weird to do. One thing I don't like is having improv and stand up in the same show, because it's like such a very different experience. And like improv is like hilarious, but the timing of it, it's lenient because people aren't expecting it. They know it's improv. They know it's they're figuring it out. So the laughs can be few and far between, but they can be strong. But then once you have stand up in front of it, it kind of ruins the fun of improv because they see what premeditated jokes can be and that speed of them. So it's kind of strange. Like I'd rather do what you did, like that kind of improv stand up works. What we would do is they had this thing called this celebrity night, right? And it was basically the fishbowl game where you pull a name out the fishbowl, and then like it's like basically like taboo, but it's always a celebrity, fictitious or real. And then like the first round you can say anything except their name. The second round you can only say one word, and then the third round you have to act it out and charade is it, and then you get the audience to guess. So frequently they would just have stand-ups participate in the game, like be the people reading. And that was really really fun, and it was funny because like we're riffing and doing this game, but we weren't having to do stand up. And then every now and then they would have us either close out an improv show or open up an improv show just to warm up the crowd. um, and so yeah, I love them to death.
Indeed, most definitely. And Christine and that setlist show inspired me to do my own show called High and Dry Comedy Show, and I put that in my festival so that way it's like I want to see what you guys can do with these two random topics. So if you want, I'll send you that those bag of raccoons and cruise ships that I did. It's just crazy.
I would
So,
love to hear it. I would love to hear it. I don't.
awesome.
I'm so scared of those kind of shows though because it's like some people just can't riff. Love them to death. Some stand-ups comics just can't riff, and it's painful. It's painful to watch. Uh,
Absolutely.
we did a show. This is something that like I think you would like. I think Robert Allen Hall was on this one. We did a mixed bag show where we took all the comic sets, put them in a bowl, mix them up, and then you had to perform another comic set, and then at the end the audience tried to guess whose set was whose, and so like Robert Robert had Will's set, and so like you know how Robert Allen is, and then Will is just like he's Baton Rouge born and raised, and he does like he talks hood shit, but he's really funny. He's like hood nerd, and so like and he has like these very particular things. Like if I saw someone else do it, I was like, you stole that from Will. And then Robert did hit like such a great in person. It was the funniest thing. Like the jokes are funny, right? So like the audience is laughing at the jokes, but the comics are just dying because like just seeing someone else do your shit is the funniest thing in the world. And I've been wanting to bring that concept back and do that as a regular show. It was cool for some of the audience members because they knew all the sets anyway because they just followed the scene. But even if they didn't, the jokes were so fun. That's something I've been trying to get started back up. We did that like maybe a year and a half ago. So
Indeed, that's a pretty cool idea. I wouldn't do that with the Daytona scene and all that stuff. Mine would be pretty obvious, but like we'll see how because like everyone has that cadence and has that voice and has that thing,
yeah.
and so it's like they try to match my voice because I sound like I'm 12, and they're like, "Oh, we totally know it's Threats set." So, and they did that for my birthday because like I had a theme for my birthday like 2 years ago where I bombed, like completely bombed, and
Oof.
I called it Being Srethne was the show, and the thing was like everyone had to say my jokes, like their favorite joke of mine, and it was kind of like being John Malkovich.
Uh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a pretty dope flick, and so it's just like that. It was just like man, and but I bombed so hard that I sang Happy Birthday to myself on stage. It was that bad. So, but those
Yeah,
bombing stories are the best though. So it's like
bo-
it's all right.
bombing stories are pretty. It humbles you. It humbles
Yeah,
you because like when I was 6 months in, I thought I was hot shit. Like I had just gotten booked. I was starting to get booked. Started hosting stuff. People were reaching out to me. I'm like, I'm good, man. This shit is easy. And then I didn't have a lot of experience with different size rooms, and that's something that until like you try to explain it to a new comic and they just can't understand it until they get into a room that's like a completely different dimension, right? So I did. They reached out to this group, reached out to me and Nam, the founder of No Show, and they were like, "Hey, can you host this like art event and extravaganza thing and do 10 minutes, and then we're gonna have like you guys do sets, and then there's gonna be like break dancers and then like interactive art, 3D virtual shit, and painting and all the stuff. And we're like, oh yeah, we can host it. We're the shit. And I will never forget. It was in this space called the Varsity, and the Varsity is like a concert venue, so it's like huge. I had never done a show in a big ass room before, much less where there's like 1,000 things going on at the same time. And I just remember walking up on stage, and the closest the audience was to me was like 35 feet away. That was the closest audience member. And it was like a row of people. There's like the pit was completely empty because it was I don't know why they had it empty, but there was no seating whatsoever. So nobody's standing in the pit. They're like 35 feet away. I couldn't even hear the laughs, and I was just like trying to do my 10 minutes. I was like, this is terrible. This is the worst thing I've. This is the to this day is the worst I've ever experienced on stage. It was so bad. Some people said I did good, but I couldn't. I couldn't even hear the laughter, and I was just like I just wanted to run away and hide.
Indeed. It's indeed those stories are the best. And so you've performed in comic clubs, casinos, and bars all across the nation. What are some of your favorite places that across the nation? Like I mentioned, I mentioned or you mentioned that you performed in LA and New York and stuff. And which other places? Well, you can include New York and LA too if you'd like.
Okay. Um, I'll say each city I've performed in. I'll say like probably my favorite venue. Okay, Lafayette. Gotta say Bisbano's. Um, no, yeah, I say Bisbano's. I got Bisbano, Lafayette. Close second is the beer garden. It's just outdoors. The beer garden's a really cool thing, but Bisbano's just has a really just I just feel like a real comic in there for some reason. New Orleans, my favorite place to perform in New Orleans would have to be it's a toss up, but I'm gonna have to say Hi Ho Lounge, or Always Lounge. Either they're right across the street from each other. Those are my favorite places. They just the crowd's right there. It's just like I, they're just amazing. Like the way the crowd acts in those places is my favorite. I just feel at home there. Um, Dallas, um, dang, there's a lot of places I've performed in Dallas at. There's this improv theater that I've actually they produce stand up shows there, and every time I've gone to Dallas to perform, they show me a lot of love. Um, and I can't remember their name right now. God damn it! I hope they're not on this. Oh God, what's that place's name? I've done like 3 shows there. Holy crap! I feel like a terrible human being. But it's like comfortable. It's like very very comfortable. Shit. Oh man, hey, can I just look on my Instagram for like 2 seconds? I don't feel like just a bad human being that I forget it. All of a sudden, it's like, God dang it, what's that comedy place? That show
There's like
called?
the alternative comedy theater, or
No, it's improv. It's like,
there's Improv Dallas too, and
no, it doesn't have like a Dallas in the name. It's like,
Stomping
oh,
Ground Comedy
Stomping
Theater.
Ground. Yeah, Stomping Ground.
Awesome. Yeah, I had to Google search it, so I'm like, oh,
Oh, dude,
okay.
oh man, I was feeling old right there. My brain was percolating. I was like, what's going on? Yeah, Stomping Ground, man. They treat me with so much love and respect. Um, and it's like every time they've taken care of me. They're amazing. Stomping Ground is awesome to perform in, even though it's not like a comedy club. It's an improv thing, but they have like couches and stuff, so it's always cool. My family always comes and like treats me there. Austin, I don't know. I don't know. I might have to skip the Austin. There's too many places I've performed in like 9 different places in Austin. And like
Dang.
but fall was it fall fall theater falls the it's the place downtown that theater. God damn it.
It's
God
been a while since comedy was happening, so
yeah, like
please
I'm
forgive Omar.
please forgive me, but I'll say this. The show that I did that was the funnest was called Ben Living Color. It was hosted by Jasmine Ellis. She's laced me up with so much game, and she's such a good friend. If she watches this or anything, that show was the funnest show I've ever done in Austin. It was like probably the last show I did. Been Living Color. It was like all people of color show, and it was at Fall. Is it Fallout Theater? I want to say Fallout Theater. For Fallout Theater for 800. I'm gonna Google that one.
For sure. There's like false theater, but
Yeah, it's Fallout. It's Fallout. Okay.
awesome.
All right.
Indeed.
Damn. New York. Um, there's a Strawberry Milk comedy and Peach Pit comedy. I've done those. Those are really really cool. Um, L.A. Don't really have a favorite place yet. I just like being out there and performing. Uh, let's see. I feel like I'm missing a couple of spots. I know I am. I performed in some weird spots. Like, it just happens. I performed right before. This is probably the best money I've ever made performing, or the funnest money. I performed for 3 people on the on the corner of the sidewalk downtown Baton Rouge because at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, daylight still happening, because I was walked by a bar and a guy I know, he's a lawyer. He's like, "Hey, my man, hey, come in here, get a drink with your boy." Da 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 da. I was like, "Hey, man, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon." Like, he's like, "I'm buying," and so he's telling all his friends, like, I'm a stand-up comic, and this dude who's not even his friend, just a guy at the bar, he's like, "Man, you funny?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Tell me a joke." I was like, "I don't do that. I'm not about to dance for you, you know." And so he's like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, if you're good at something, you just don't do it for free. I'm not gonna tell." I was like, "This is not a stand-up place. I'm not. You're gonna get a bad representation of me because it's not set up that way. No one's in the mood. Like, I don't have a microphone. Da 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 da." He's like, "Well, how much do you get paid to do like a set?" I was like, 150, 150 for 10 minutes. He's like, "Please tell me your jokes."
Wow.
And so we walked outside, and I just stood in the corner doing my material. It's the And he timed me. He was like, "I don't think you got. I don't think you. I think he said you don't have 10 minutes." I was like, "Sir," I was like, "I've been doing stand up for like at this point it was like 4 years or 3 years." It's like, "Sir, I absolutely have 10 minutes. I have more than that. I was like 3 shows a week. What are you talking about? I got 10 minutes." And he timed me, laughed, and then I hit 10 minutes and it stopped exactly at it. And he was like, "Do you got more?" I was like, "Yeah." And he just gave me another 50,
Dang.
and I did another 10 minutes.
That's
That's
impressive.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing ever. Wildest thing in the whole wide world.
Awesome. And how did you and them get together for a no show comedy?
Uh, it was weird. Comics can be kind of nasty sometimes, and when we were first starting out, like, it started getting a little bit hairy for reasons I still don't understand to this day completely. But um, so we started looking for other places to perform in town. Um, and I saw an open mic poster at the coffee shop I was going to, and so I was at this place that I never heard of, and so I was like, "What is this? What kind of, what is this?" So I called, and I was like, "Hey, my name's Finley. I have this poster here that says there's an open mic going on Thursday." I was like, "Is this an open mic that's open for anything? I'm a stand-up comedian. If it's just like singer songwriter, like, I'm not gonna show up." And the lady who answers the phone, her name is Kay Wilson, and she's one of the best human beings in this whole wide world. And she's like the sweetest person. She goes, "Well, no, it's open to everybody. It's just an open mic, but you have to come now. You and your friend have to come. We've never had stand up. We would love to have stand up." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Well, how much time?" She's like, "Well, you normally give people like 20 minutes." And I'm like, "Cha-ching, like, I get to do 20 minutes? Like, as a newbie, that's amazing. No one ever gives you 20 damn minutes." So we go. It's like Nam, myself, um, my comedy father, Reggie Raw. If he ever sees this, thanks, Pops. Took me under his wing really quickly. We all go. And yeah, of course, it's just singers and songwriters. So Reggie's like, "Fuck out of here. I'm not doing this." And he just walks out. But Nam and I stay, and at the end of the show, they just put us up and just gave us as much time as we want. So we did 15 minutes each, and they were just dying. It was a great community of people. So afterwards, Kay comes up and she was like, "You guys are really, really funny, and we can't not have you guys here every, you know, we need stand up here, like this space." And it was in the most beautiful venue. It's called the Guru. It's a venue that they just rent out for like weddings and other events and stuff. So so anyway, she's like, "Would y'all want to have like a comedy open mic here?" And we were like, "You want us to do a show?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, let's okay, let's give us a couple of days. Let's sketch something out, and then we'll come out to you with a plan." So we waited, talked about it, figured out what was feasible, came back. We were like, "Look, we'll do a show. It'll be an open mic. We'll do it once a month. Pay to get in because da 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 da, and then we'll be able to pay you guys and blah blah blah." And we called it No Show Comedy, and that was it. The first show, there was like I think 90 people there. It was insane. I think I have pictures of it, and I still can't believe it. That first show, the room was so loud. There was so many people. We didn't have enough chairs, and it was just an open mic. We just said, hey, we had with a headliner at the end. So Reggie, he was the headliner. Actually, I don't know if you can see. That's that with the orange. That's actually the poster. That's I keep the designs. We love the designs that we do. But he was the headliner, and we had like I think 8 comics go up before him, and Nam and I we were just experimental. We did some game like we were just all over the place, but it was so fun. And then yeah, we just after that we realized that we have a showcase and not an open mic. So after that we just made it a showcase and monthly, and the rest is history. And
Dang, that's
that's how we
awesome.
got started. But yeah, it was wild. It was crazy, crazy.
That's that's awesome. That's a cool story. That's like how everything just blossomed like that. And Omar, I was supposed to go on tour, with the pandemic thing happened, and I couldn't go on tour. And so these are the questions I wanted to ask you, and to refresh everyone's memories. What inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
I gotta say, Dave, Eddie, they, my family loves stand up, and once I realized that it was something that I could do. Like I just didn't know when I was coming up that was like an actual option. I just thought you had to be in a big city. Those guys really. When I think about like my mom laughing and my dad showing me Eddie Murphy Delirious and Raw, like we always watch stand up together. Those are the comics that like influence me and make me want to get better and keep doing this.
Indeed. And what was it feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
You just ever shake your shoulders and feel good?
Yep, like Steph Curry
Yeah,
after he hits a three. Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly how I felt. It felt amazing. It's one of the having a great set is one of the best feelings in the whole wide world.
Indeed, most definitely. And what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Shit. All right, all right. Comedy specials and or records. Okay,
Yep.
I'm not a big comedy record guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a very strange when it comes to my homework with the stand up. Um, my favorite special is still "Killing Them Softly" with Dave Chappelle. That's the one he films in D.C. The joke about his wife wanting to talk, and he just it's one of the stupidest things in the whole wide world, but it's so funny to me. He's just like, "Baby, we need to talk," and then he just goes, "Fuck." He's like, "I don't say that out loud, but that's how I feel inside." Like as a child, that made me laugh, and now as someone who's in a relationship, that makes me die. Like I can watch that. Like for what it's worth, is amazing, but Killing Him Softly, I think he's just a slightly more absurd in that one, and that's where I think he thrives the best at for me. Um, After that, I'm gonna go Eddie, Raw. That's, you have to, you have to. Eddie Murphy Raw. Um, Kevin Hart, um, seriously funny. I think that's the one with the green. The dude had jokes. People try to say he's not funny. That dude is a monster. I know that for a fact. Uh, but those that's I think that's yeah, it's just seriously funny. And then after that, I think it was Laugh at My Pain. Those two, I saw them live. They're so funny. Like that. Chris Rock. Um, I don't know which one's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I think Tambourine is his magnum opus. Um, and I know they just released a extended cut, like maybe like a week ago. I haven't watched it yet because I literally watched Tambourine, and then they were like, "Hey, in a week we're gonna do this." I was like, "God damn it!" But Chris Rock is Tambourine. Yeah, Tambourine's my favorite one. I'm gonna be steadfast. Tambourine is my favorite Chris Rock special. Um, and last but not least, is that four? I think that's four, right?
I think so. It was a couple Daves, and Eddie, and Chris. Yeah, four. I think four.
God dang it. I'm bad at this, man. I'm bad at this. I'm bad at this. Uh all right, you know what? For right now, like the just since we're just talking about specials and not who's my favorite top five, I'm gonna put Lavelle Crawford special up there. Either that one or the one Hannibal did in Minnesota. Um, Lavelle Crawford, that joke about his mom, like not his grandmother riding the bus to get to his house, and then he said his mom didn't allow him to open that door for no damn body, and he's told her shit to get her back on the bus. That shit is so stupid. Like the first 20 minutes of that special is the funniest thing in the whole wide world. Um, yeah. I can go. I can be happy with those are my top. Not they're not my top five, but they're just like the ones that are most memorable to me at this moment in time.
Indeed,
Cause
his other two jokes that I love is the ones where he's like when he goes shopping and he has to repeat after that one joke, and that one joke where his mom kisses him after the BJ.
yeah,
Those
no,
jokes are just hilarious.
my dad. The reason why I like Lavelle Crawford, my dad used to watch. I think it's one of the Shaq All Star comedy jams, and Lavelle Crawford had the joke uh about his cousin getting fired from Popeyes, and like me and my dad would I can call him right now, and he'd be like, "You gonna fire Leonard? You can't fire me. One day I was doing biscuits, frying a chicken, and having a cash register at the same goddamn time. Bitch over there, she was stealing from the drive-thru. Like God, I love that joke so much. Yeah.
Man,
Lavelle Crawford is definitely the shit.
indeed. He came to Jacksonville one time and I caught him, he was taking like photos with everyone. And I
Mm-hmm.
walked up to him with my camera. I'm like, "Hey, I'm a comedy journalist, stand-up comedy journalist. May I interview you?" He goes, "For you? Yes." And so we go back to like the green room and I got to interview him with these same questions that I'm asking you. So I'll send you the video to that too if you want, so you
Oh,
can dig into
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Oh, you
And
know what? I gotta amend my statement. Weirdo by Donald Glover. Weirdo by Donald Glover is I hate that man's so good at everything. That's a great fucking special. There's some weird jokes. There's some weird jokes, but I can't. I was a huge Donald Glover. I'm just a huge Donald Glover fan, even though I don't like to admit it anymore. But but in high school, I was watching the Derek comedy sketch stuff that he was doing, and then I got into the music, and I was like, when he released Weirdo, I remember it like it was yesterday because he had just released Camp, his first album, and I went to this place called it was a festival called Fun Fest in Austin. It's no longer there anymore. They disbanded it, but this is 2011. So I went on and I just fucked up my leg. I was on crutches. It was crazy, but there was all these stages, and there was a fun stage, and so this stage, Turquoise Jeep, right? I don't know if you know who Turquoise Jeep is, but they're like this. They just make dumb fucking raps, right? And like these stupid music videos, and they're so funny. So I like went to go see them, but Donald actually did his stand up. He did Weirdo. So I watched that. Then he intros them, and then like they do their thing, and then I like go like 20 minutes after that, and then he does the whole first album on stage. And so I'll never forget that. And then 2 weeks later, I watched the premiere of Comedy Central.
Wow, that's pretty gnarly. I've never seen Weirdo, but I'll definitely give it a shot and definitely.
Weird dude, you would be mad. You'd be mad. You're like, this dude is better at everything I'm trying to do, and I don't think he's really trying.
Oh man,
He's one of my. If you want to talk about top entertainers, like the best of the best entertainers, it's Eddie, Jamie, Donald. Um, I mean, I'm talking like triple threats basically. He's there, and I think if his producing career goes any better, he will eclipse Jamie. I think
wow,
Jamie has him a little bit because he can play the keys, and he's funny, but he has the music in him. But Donald's such a good musician, it almost cancels out because he did the rap and the singing just like Jamie. So it's really kind of coming up to like who's a better actor at this point.
indeed, and Donald has a lot of gas in his tank still, so it's gonna be only time will tell. So
Yeah, like Atlanta. If you want to talk about whose show did better, Atlanta by and large is way better than the Jamie Foxx show, and I love the Jamie Foxx show. So
wow,
you got
that speaks volumes.
it's, what am I gonna
Indeed,
say? Like, dude, man, Atlanta is amazing, and it's so profound, and it speaks to our culture. Jamie Foxx show is just fun. So yeah, like
indeed.
I said, it's gonna really come down to their acting and their acting credits or their whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, it's Eddie and Jamie and Donald. They're tied right now.
Most definitely. And a lot of those folks have been on TV and film, and I want to know what your favorite sitcom, sketch shows, and comedy films are.
Come on, man. You should have sent me this earlier. I should have had this ready. And you know what? I watched Ken's and someone else's. I was like, I need to have these. All right, my favorite. All right, my favorite sitcom. Uh, like all time favorite, or can I just
Yeah, anyone, both all time and currently, I guess.
top or whatever. Fresh Prince. I just rewatched Fresh Prince. Community. Um, as like pure sitcoms. Arrested Development. The jokes in that are so funny. I rewatched that a lot too. Always Sunny. I'm currently going to rewatch of Always Sunny. Um, Obviously, you got to give it up to Martin. Uh, give it up to Martin, and I'm gonna leave it at those right now. I'm gonna leave it at those.
Indeed, sketch shows.
Chappelle Show, Chappelle Show, in Living Color, which I have right here. got the whole season of Living Color. Um, Chappelle Show for sure. Uh, People, I don't want to put Key and Peele in there because there's only they I want they had great sketches. They had like some very like you can't deny it, but the show itself I didn't like. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense.
It's,
I have the same feeling.
like the one I was just talking to my roommate about this yesterday. The one where there's like, uh, and I said, "Bitch," and he's like, "You said it? You called her a bitch?" Uh, that's the funniest thing in the whole wide world. That's one of me and my uncle like we'll do that all the time. We'll just I said, "Bitch," but like I don't. The show itself I didn't like, but the sketches they knocked them out the park. Some of the sketches are amazing, but I'm gonna say Living Color, Chappelle Show. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Sketch show. Oh, whatever. It's not. If it was important, I wouldn't have forgot.
Indeed. My favorite sketch of In Living Color is The Dozens. And and I used to write like I would memorize those Yo Mama jokes when I brought them from home, like borrowed it from a friend or got them from a bookstore or whatever. And I remembered going to like England one time in like eighth grade, and I wrote a Yo Mama joke. And when we were at a stoplight, I would put it on the window and have the drivers read it, and they would flip us off. It was pretty awesome.
You're a wild boy.
Pretty crazy out there.
They probably throw some tea and biscuits at you or something.
Indeed.
They call you a wanker. I don't know. I ain't never been out there.
That's wild, but I loved it, and everyone would like I would battle like two people at the same time because I would memorize these books, and like everyone would swarm our lunch tables just to see me battle two people at once. It was awesome. Like the Dozens, I love it, especially when like Al Bundy was on there or Ed O'Neill was battling Jamie Foxx when he was just on the Lazy Boy. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
I
How about
really.
yours?
Oh,
Oh,
keep
what was your
going.
favorite sketch from In Living Color? If you had to pick, there's a lot of them.
Nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. Can't do that. There's a
Indeed.
lot of them. There in living like I love In Living Color because it's like I never will get bored of it. Like Chappelle Show, there's obviously favorites. There's some I can't live without. Um,
Indeed.
I can't. But yeah, I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite for In Living Color.
Most
Couldn't do it.
definitely. Oh, favorite comedy films?
Ooh, Coming to America. Anchorman. This is the end. I think people sleep on that. That's a funny fucking film. Super Bad is one of the funniest films still to this day. Um, this is a fucking hard question. There's some other classics that I'm just forgetting right now, and I hate it. Is Friday a comedy film? Can we? Is that a question? Is that a fair question? Is Friday a comedy film?
I'd say it is.
There's so many jokes in that.
Mm-hmm. And plus, Bernie Mac was in it, so it has to be a comedy film. Yep.
Maybe put that on there. Um,
It-
God, dude, on the spot, you're killing me right now. I'm like cheating because I'm like looking at my DVD collection. Like it's like right under my feet. I'm just like, um, God dang, I keep forgetting I have all the Boondocks. There's so many Eddies. There's so many Eddies in there that I would say, but that's just I'm gonna keep with that. I'm gonna keep with that right now.
Most definitely. And if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Oh come on! I hope they don't watch this. Locally and internationally. All right, I'm gonna get my local people out the way. Wait, how many people are on this tour? I need a number. I need a number so I can make some hard decisions.
We'll go top five, like Chris Rock's movie.
You mean you mean you mean this movie right here, cuz?
Absolutely.
This is one of my favorite date movies. All right. I got 5 people I can bring besides myself, right?
Yep. Hmm.
One of them has to be international.
Yeah, if you want to make it special.
Wait, no, or just local. Oh no no no. Oh, you meant local or national comic. Okay, got you. All right, here's the crew. I'm gonna get my homie out the way. I'm gonna get Dave out of there. Dave's my thumb. Obviously, I want to. That's my favorite. And then this is gonna be local boys only. Howard Hall, Terrace Lane. He runs no show comedy with me. Uh, Marcus Bond out of New Orleans. He's the homie. And then I don't know if I have to give my comedy father props. I ain't seen him do stand up in a minute. I ain't gonna lie. It's a toss up between Mike Honore and Will Merrill. They would. No, they're both coming. That's it. That's it. I got six. I got six. That's a good. That's a good. That's a good show. It's Dave. It's Dave, Howard Hall, Will Merrill, Mike Honore, Terrence Elaine. Yeah.
Indeed,
Marcus
most
Bond
def.
and Marcus Bond. We're running. That'd be the funniest tour in the whole wide world.
Absolutely. I can't wait for it to be either in Florida or Colorado, wherever I'm at, and I'll definitely buy a ticket to that show for sure.
We
Especially
would.
Mike Honore, like his Candyman joke on Splendid Afternoon. I sent it to Tony Todd. Jeez. I can't
Yes.
stop listening to that Candyman joke. That was
I
so
literally
good.
like that. It's like right there. I have that candy. My favorite joke. I don't know if it made. I can't remember because it's weird. I haven't listened to Splendid Afternoon because I was at the taping. So like my memory of what it is might be different from the recording. But is the Disney princess joke? Did that make the cut? You know what I'm talking about?
I think it did. It's been
That's
a while since I listened to it. Yeah.
his Disney princess joke is one of my favorite jokes I've ever heard. And matter of fact, that day that like we've done like a dry run of that show I was talking about where we do any other jokes, and we all had a day where we just did Mike Honore's jokes on stage, and I called that one. That joke is so funny to me. He said, man, I was feeling so down about myself. These are Disney princesses. I can't be hitting on Disney princesses. But then I realized they're only a princess at work. After work, this is just a bitch from Florida. Anyone can fuck a bitch from Florida. I can't stop laughing about that, man. I'm gonna have to call him after this and just tell him I miss him. I haven't seen him in like 2 weeks.
Indeed, most definitely. He's such a great guy. I'm so glad I got to interview Mike, and I'm glad I got to interview you too. And it's fantastic. And if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
God damn it. Obviously, I gotta give it up to the roast master,
Jeff Ross.
Jeff Ross. Yeah, I met him. I met him like 3 years ago. He was like a really really nice guy. Like it was it was in New Orleans. Like him, I saw met Hannibal, and Eric Andre at the same time. But he was really really nice. Jeff Ross. I would have to let him roast me. Um, as someone who's been through a roast before, I am not letting Terrence Elaine roast me ever again because Terrence Elaine won't ever let himself get roasted because of the fear in his heart. It's been like 4 years. He still won't let me roast him. So he ain't making the cut. I just want him to hear this one day so he knows that he ain't never going to get to roast me ever again on stage. Even if there's starving babies and sick dogs, I ain't ever letting you get roast me again. Because he ain't never let himself get roasted. I'm gonna say Will Merrill. Will Merrill. He has that. Greg Hamilton. Shit, I should have put Greg Hamilton on there. God damn it. All right, Greg makes the cut right now. Damn, I just out of sight, out of mind. I gotta call him and apologize. Greg Hamilton. So if I could bring, I feel like if I could bring Richard Pryor from the dead, I would love to hear him roast the shit out of me, and Cat Williams too.
Indeed. Now you can change the name of your tour to the Lucky Number 7 tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that way. And let's see here. Which other
Feel
films?
bad.
Indeed, my fault. If you can which other forms of comedy would you venture off into, like improv, sketch, comedy, writing, acting, directing, etc.?
If I wanted to just, it would be sketch. It would have to be sketch. I feel like I have a lot. I have sketches and I've written them and stuff. I feel like my style of comedy in the situations I talk about could easily be sketches and be acted out. So that would be me for sure.
Indeed. And where do you see your comedy career in the next 5 years?
5 years, I'll be 30. Shit, 33. 5 years. I would like my specials to be out on like either streaming platforms or actually have been on one of the major networks by now. And hopefully, in 5 years, I've actually got to the point where I've done a late night show spot and a special that's hopefully I've shopped to like network, either a network or has been premiered on like Netflix or something. And then hopefully I'm like starting to be in movies, like starting to like audition. I ain't gonna say 5 years I'm gonna blow up and I'm gonna be in the movies, but 5 years, hopefully I've gotten clout to where they asking me, hey, I think you should audition in a movie. I get turned down. Like I feel like I want to be on the cusp. Like, I understand this game, it takes a lot of time, so I'm not in a rush.
Indeed, most definitely. And what is your favorite joke or comic has ever written?
Why you keep doing this? Why you keep doing this to me? You know how many local guys I have to like shout out? Okay. I'm gonna go with a local guy. I'm gonna say Howard Hall, and I'm gonna have to say his joke about the weather. He had a joke about the weather. It was one of the funniest things in the entire world. Um, and I used to make him do it. And to this day, if he gets booked on a show, where I book him on a show, and he does the thing, well, like he and I are very very similar. Like we come from pretty similar schools of thought. He'll be like, I'm gonna do this joke, but I need a joke in between. Which joke should I do? And I'm gonna be like, I'd be like weather joke, and he'll always go, God damn it, and then he'll do it. It's the fun. He never does it the same way twice, but the first time I ever saw that joke, I was crying tears. He talks about the weather and just how stupid it is, and how stupid of a profession being a weatherman or weather person is, and he talks about it for like no less than 9 minutes, and it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. After that, then it's the princess joke by Mike Honore, and then finally, I have to give my partner in crime, Terrence Lane, a huge shout out. He has this. It's not even a joke, but it's this thing. His life is trash. His joke about life is trash is it's an experience. I don't even want to call it a joke. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna do that.
Indeed. I love it when another comic requests like another comic to put their favorite joke in a set. Like when I do like the open mics in Daytona Beach, like I always close it out at midnight because there's like only 4 people in the audience, and I like to try new things. So I do like my new stuff, and then I'm like all my friends that are left. I say, all right, what joke you guys want to hear, and I just give it, and they shout out their favorite joke of mine, and I perform it for them, and it makes them feel all special. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. So it's great.
It's so fun when people do that. Like I'm at a weird spot where like I do so many host like I've hosted for so much like we were having so many different shows. Like I would just make new material so quickly. Like people are like, I don't really have a favorite joke of yours, so it's kind of demoralizing. But every now and then, someone would be like, oh, I want to hear this joke, and I'd be like, here you go.
Yeah, it feels so good when it makes you feel like when they actually listen to your joke and say that's my favorite, and I'm like, all right, you got it, dude. Or do that. It's fantastic. And Omar, what experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
I want them to feel like they can. Even though we were joking about this earlier, I actually do like people feeling like they just heard like a good friend of theirs go and do stand up, and they feel like they know me and they feel like they can talk to me. My whole I don't really have a persona on stage. Like I'm not like a different human being, or I'm not like trying to make an act. Like I really try to make sure that I'm comfortable and I'm speaking true to myself and my experiences, and presenting myself in a way that my friends and stuff would like receive it. So it's really really something that like I've worked on, and my stage presence is I try to be as comfortable and as natural as possible. So when they when they see me and they feel like they can talk to me after a show, even though like sometimes that should be annoying as hell, especially when I'm trying to listen to other comics, if it's still good, like that's what I want them to do. I want them to feel that way. So
Indeed, excellent answer. And for the third and final segment, yeah, you were nominated to be my guest, and that's the only way to get into the stand-up speakeasy is that you got to know somebody to know somebody. And so it feels like the prohibition, the Roaring Twenties all over again.
uh,
So, Omar, which comedians would you like in Baton Rouge would you like to see on a featured episode of the stand-up speakeasy?
they got to be a Baton Rouge.
Hmm. Or all of Louisiana if you want
Okay,
to. Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna give you three. I feel like some of the people you've already been nominated, so I'm gonna try to see if I can nominate some people that haven't been yet. Uh, the birthday boy himself. His birthday was 2 days ago. Marcus Bond, for sure. Um, Out of New Orleans. He's a great friend. Really enjoy his stand up. Um, has Terrence already been nominated? I feel like he has, huh?
I think he might have turned lane.
Yeah, Terrence. Yeah,
Yep. Mhm.
he's whatever. So I ain't gonna nominate him. He already been nominated. Um,
I think multiple times too. It's pretty wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, um, I think all the names I've talked about as Greg Hamilton. I would have to say Greg Hamilton. OG gave me a lot of wisdom. Um, and young cat, young guy. He we host. He's the co-host of Open the Mic, the podcast that we run out of No Show Comedy. Really enjoy him coming up. He's been doing it for about a year and a half. Wes Ross. I'm gonna give him a little bit of love. He deserves it. He's really been working hard at getting better at stand up, and dude's fucking funny. Funny.
Indeed, most definitely, and I'll be sure to reach out to those fine folks. And if I have reached out to you already, check out your filtered inbox and reply. And because sometimes it just goes into that other inbox, and I'm like, I just want to put Baton Rouge and the rest of the Middle America on the map with these interviews and shine the light on you all. Because man, there's a lot of talent in those little cities other than New York and LA that needs to get their shine on, and
Absolutely.
I needed I need to do that. Which I've done for the Sunshine State here. I wanted to branch out and shine the light on everybody else. So it's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah,
So
and anytime you come through, man, let us know. We got hopefully when the shows come back, we'll be back in full force, and we'll be able to give you actual money and not like $10. And if you need a place to stay, we'll be able to do that too.
awesome, fantastic. Likewise, whether it's Florida, I'll do everything I can to pull all those strings for you as well. And I might be moving. I'll probably definitely move to Colorado like by in a couple weeks or maybe months here.
Oh,
So
congrats.
the same for you there too. So I'll try to make a lot more connections. But I'm connected here in Florida, but I want to put like my home state on the map. So that'd be awesome.
Same for
And
me.
so please follow Omar on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Same handles on everything. Visit his website, omarfinley.com. Donate to his Venmo account because comics are out of work at the moment in most states. And
Where the money reside, where the money reside.
absolutely. Book Omar with his email that's below. Give him more than $10, please. Make sure he gets those $200 like those lawyers did in Baton Rouge that one time. That'd be awesome. And
Yes.
any final words from you, Omar, to the people watching at home?
Um, to everyone who was watching, one time for a good time. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. If you're watching live and if you're watching this as a recording, Like I really do appreciate everyone who's tuning in. If I know you, please, I just want to let you know I really appreciate all my people who've supported me throughout these years and really believe in my our craft. And I couldn't be anywhere without the people who support me and support No Show and all the friends that I have in comedy. I'm really thankful for that, and I really miss seeing a lot of you guys in person. So um, when this happens, when we get back to it, I'm gonna promise you I'm gonna make a show that we can do all this in live again. And I love you. Until then, please stay safe and stay healthy, and you know keep living, keep pushing on.
Awesome, awesome words there, Omar. And I can't wait to meet you in person. And
Yes, yes, yes.
I can't wait to help book your shows and all that good stuff. And I can't wait to perform on a show in Baton Rouge. And the Southern hospitality is real, whether it's Florida or Louisiana, it's real.
Yes,
And
yes, it is.
indeed, and thank you so much, Omar, for being on the Stand Up Speakeasy. And I'll be sure to reach out to those fine folks, and I'll be sure to send you those 2 videos of me being crazy on stage.
Do it, do it, do it.
Indeed, I can't wait to see your performance live, and looking forward to that too. So, and for everybody else, we'll see you next time on the Stand Up Speakeasy. Be well, everyone. Be safe. Wear a mask and protect yourself. Protect your neck.
Protect your neck. I see you. I see you, Wu Tang.
Indeed, absolutely. Wu Tang Financial, diversify your
Your
bonds.
bonds.
Indeed,
Yeah. All
most
right.
definitely. Be well. Awesome.
All
Good
right.
stuff.